sir.
Yeah. Good afternoon.
Oh, my name is Temitayo Owoeye.
Welcome, ma.
Thank you very much. I'm an HR specialist and I work with an advertising company in Lagos.
Oh, that's good to know. I'm a
I
PhD
finished.
student.
Okay. We are live now actually. Professor Badeniyi.
I'm so sorry I came late. I was just thinking it was going to be 3 o'clock.
It's okay.
3 o'clock Nigerian time.
It's okay.
I just missed it.
It's okay. It's okay. It's okay. Professor Adeolu at Durotoye, are you online? Professor Durotoye.
He's online, but it seems he's on mute. So he has to unmute on his end.
No. I'm not sure I can see him actually. Yes, of course. Okay, Professor Durotoye is on call.
Oh, okay.
Ajani?
Yes, I'm here.
Oh, Oluwole Ajani, good. Nice to have all of you.
Yes, I'm sorry, my webcam is. On my laptop, so that's why.
Okay.
If you want anything.
It's okay. It's okay. It's okay.
Can you hear me?
Of course, Prof, we can hear you.
Okay.
Oh, good. Now that everybody is around, I think we just start. We have some attendees already online who are eagerly waiting for us to start. I want to apologize for the technical issues we have. I'm sure that we are expecting 3 other panelists to join us. Dr. Opia Boniface, Dr. Oluwole Aiyegbusi, and Dr. Karim Jimba. For now, we'll go ahead and we'll start. I think it's, we would like to apologize once again to our attendees for starting this late. We already have some of them sending questions over to us. But then that's not the way we do it. We always use a GoToWebinar. I'm using this Zoom webinar for the first time, actually. I think with time, I will perfect it. We should be live also on Facebook and also on YouTube. But with time, I'm sure we'll perfect all this. So I want to welcome you to the 8th in the series of webinar organized by the Department of Sociology at Federal University at Adeyemi. On behalf of the founder, Afe, the Vice Chancellor, Professor Smanda Olarinde, my acting provost, Professor Dr. Ademọwọ Aziz, I want to welcome all of you. To our attendees, you're all welcome. And to have today on the panel, Professor Adeolu Durotoye, who is joining us from Canada. Professor Durotoye, you want to say hello to our attendees? Professor Durotoye, you want to say hello to our attendees?
Yes, sorry about that. I was muted. Good morning from Canada and good afternoon in Nigeria. It's my pleasure to be here. Thank you.
Thank you very much, sir. We also have Professor Tosin Badeniyi from South Africa. Professor Badeniyi, you want to say hello to our attendees?
Good afternoon from South. Good afternoon from South Africa. I'm so happy to join you. I'm sure I'm going to learn from all of you. Thank you so much.
Thank you. We also have in our midst Mr. Oluwole Ajani from Ibadan. Oluwole Ajani, you want to say hello?
Good afternoon, everyone. It's nice to be here.
Good.
And I look forward to learn.
Okay, from Lagos, we have Miss Temitayo Owoeye, who is an HR specialist. Temitayo Owoeye, you want to say hello to our attendees?
Good afternoon, everyone, and it's a great honor being here. I look forward to learning a lot today. Thank you very much.
Thank you. We also have with us from Bauchi, Mrs. Funmi Mary Adelaiye, is a lecturer in Bauchi. Ms. Adelaiye, you want to say hello?
Yes, good afternoon, everyone. It's an honor for me to be on this panel to learn as a student. I look forward to learning quite a lot today. Thank you.
Okay, well, Mrs. Adelaiye is also a doctoral, apart from being a lecturer in Federal Polytechnic Bauchi, she's also a doctoral student in HR at Federal University, Adeolu. Okay, without wasting much of our time, I will introduce other panelists as they join us. I would like to start with Professor Adeolu Durotoye. You know, the topic today is to look at the question of employability of Nigerian graduates. This is not a new discourse. It has been a discourse that has been on for some time for diverse reasons. And some have even gone far as to say that even the idea of certificate today is a scam, that people actually don't need certificate to be successful for so many reasons unknown to them. I would like to call beckon on our panelists to please mute their mic, except Professor Durotoye. All other panelists will please mute their mic. Thank you. Professor Durotoye, you have the floor for 10 minutes for your introductory presentation.
Yeah, thank you, Professor Ademọwọ. And when I saw your topic, you know, I laughed. And the reason why I laughed was because we are talking of employability, meaning that we are already operating from the standpoint of the fact that we are producing graduates who must go and look for jobs. Yeah, certificate na scam. Certificate is not a scam, okay? In fact, Nelson Mandela, the foremost, you know, president of former you're already positioning that child to think about a job. I want to be a teacher. I want to be a lawyer. I want to be a doctor. I want to be an engineer. I think the question we need to start asking is, what problem are you going to solve when you grow up? In the world now, people think about solving problems. When a problem is identified, then you provide a solution and you commoditize the solution you are providing. That is the kind of graduates we should be thinking of producing. Graduates that can identify a problem, provide a solution, and you know what? Try to commoditize the solution and turn it to a value that can be exchanged for money. That should be the mentality. You know, Jim Rohn said, formal education will make you a living, but self-education will make you a fortune. So we need to change the orientation, and it has to do, starting from the curriculum. What problems are we solving? In every discipline, you must identify a problem, you must solve that problem. I'm a life coach here in Canada. I've never worked for anybody in the past 1.5 years, but I've been quite okay because I commoditize my value. I commoditize what I can bring to the table, and then I'm able to get paid for exchanging value. And that should be the mentality. We are talking of employability. We are training graduates to run after a job created by some other people. Why can't our graduates create a job for themselves? In fact, I have my daughter here. She's in medical school. I would just want him to share a little. She's in medical school, but she's already making money for herself. Her name is Alexa. Want to say something about what you are trying to do now?
Good afternoon, everyone. My name is Oluwole. I am a medical student at Austin School of Medicine. And learning from my dad, I've learned a lot, and being not able to work while I'm in university is quite something that I have to face through. So I saw a need in my school, and especially us students, we like to order things online. So I made that a point of where I can build something. So from there, I started working on how I can bring things for them promptly without damaging their goods, and to be able to, provide a lesser value or a lesser thing they have to pay. Also, I'm also launching a new hair care line. So with just little things in place, I always have a source of income while I'm in medical school. So yeah, basically that's it.
Thank you, Alexis. What she's trying to do is identifying a problem. I tell all my children, you've got to solve a problem. You've got to identify a problem. You are going to school, fantastic. But what problem are you going to solve? Okay, if you look at Bezos, the owner of Amazon, he solved the problem of distribution. Okay, if you look at Airbnb now, they are solving the problem of lodging, temporary lodging. If you look at, all kinds of people in the world, they look for a problem, they provide a solution. We need to start producing graduates that will look for solve a problem. Formal education will make you a living, self-education will make you a fortune. So look at what Robert Kiyosaki, the foremost, Robert Kiyosaki, we all know about Rich Dad Poor Dad. He said in every economy, there are 4 cash flow quadrants. Okay, you have an employee, you have self-employed people, you have business owners, you have investors. Employees exchange their time for money. And you know what? Someone says salary is the bribe employers pay employees to forget their dreams. Okay? So we are producing graduates that are being trained to think about being paid a salary. But that is just a bribe for them every month so that they can forget their dreams and build other people's dreams. Get it right. I'm not saying being an employee is bad. But all I'm saying is that you need to start thinking outside the box. How do we produce graduates who are ready before they leave school, they've identified the problem, they want to solve that problem? Self-employed person is also somebody that works for himself, but he cannot even take an holiday. He's just by himself. If he becomes sick, his job is sick. I'm training people as a life coach, people that will be business owners, that will use other people's time and other people's money to make money. They use other people's time to succeed. One person has only 24 hours in a day. But what if I have multiple thousands of people? I'm looking for 1,000 people that can also build 1,000 people. I will reach 1 billion. And that should be the mentality. We need to go beyond employability. Running after a job, created by some other people is very important. And, one of the things I do tell people is this. You don't have the patience to build a business for 3 years, but you have the patience to go to work for 40 years fulfilling other people's dreams. No, you've got to start, be patient enough and don't be afraid to fail.
Professor Durotoye, can I clarify something? Now, your point is essentially that the kind of graduates we are producing in Nigeria are people who are trained to look for jobs. That means the nexus between knowledge and skill has not been covered in the certificate. Is that what you're saying, sir?
That's what I'm saying.
Oh, cool. So where is the lacuna? You have been a classroom teacher, you've been a lecturer, you've been a professor. Now, where do you think the lacuna is? I have some of the attendees who are already telling me the lacuna is in the curriculum. The curriculum is, the lacuna is in the kind of internship people are doing. Some are saying is in the kind of mentality with which they enter the university, the polytechnic and so on. Where do you think the lacuna is? I want you to address that, please.
I think it's in every area that you have mentioned. The mindset. Number one, I started by saying you start by building your child's mindset when he's growing up by asking him, what do you want to become when you grow up? And that child is already thinking of a job. That's the mindset. Success in life is 90% mindset and 10% skill set. So do they have the right mindset of somebody trying to solve a problem? Now, the curriculum also. You are a sociologist. How many problems do your students identify in the society? And how do they provide a solution to that problems? And do they think about how to commoditize, turn that solution to a commodity that can exchange value for money? So the curriculum has to be tweeted towards providing solutions to problems and turning the solution to a commodity. And the mindset also has to be built in a way that we are not thinking about, hey, you're going to work at Chevron, you're going to work at this place and that place, you're going to do a resume. We have to start thinking about how can you become an employer of labor yourself.
Thank you, sir.
And that is,
I'll come back to you because I wanted to share the experience of Canada with us. But then I'll go to Professor Tosin Badeniyi. Professor Badeniyi, you can unmute, please. Professor Badeniyi, you were once a lecturer here in Nigeria before you moved to South Africa. And you have now also have the experience of teaching, not just in Nigeria, not just in South Africa, but also in Canada and research in so many other countries in the world. Where do you think the lacuna is in the production of the graduates in Nigeria? For Professor Adeolu Durotoye, it is the mindset we started with, the mindset of producing people who will look for jobs. What do you think is the problem from your own perspective, Professor Badeniyi?
Thank you, Professor Ademọwọ, for inviting me to these fantastic events. I really learned from what Professor Durotoye said. I'm really on the same page with him. But I want to say there's a problem in all the universities in the world. It's not only in Nigeria. We've turned our universities to a factory where we produce degrees. And universities should be a place where we develop critical thinkers. University is a place where people go to and they are taught to solve problems, like what Professor Durotoye said. And I think when I teach my students, when I meet them for the first time, when I start a module, I tell my students that what I'm trying to do today is to train you guys how to think and know what to think. Because we must train our students how to think. We should not think for them. I try to tell them that everybody created is a genius and you are trained to solve problems. And I think that's where the problem is, the mindset. We need to change that in all the universities in the world because people, they pay a lot of money. I mean, take for example, if you go to Harvard, you pay a lot of money and people have this mindset that when they graduate, they will go and be looking for a job. That mindset should change. You know, everybody that gets into university should think about what problem am I going to solve? What about if I don't find a job? You know, and that's what I tried to do. You know, I remember when I completed my first degree, before I got a job at FUTA, I worked in a place, Caleb, for 1 year. And as I was finishing at Caleb, before I moved to FUTA, I thought about something because there was something I like to do. I like to read. So, and I like to write. When I used to read in those days, I would always like to write something down. And I thought of coming up with a magazine. And I started doing magazine publications. And I was able to raise some money. I did 2 editions before I got a job at FUTA, but it stopped. And I'm sure if I didn't get that job, I'm sure that magazine would have continued before I went to do my PhD and something like that. So I tried to train my students, try to tell my students about entrepreneurship, about employability. And another thing I try to tell my students is this: even if you don't want to work for yourself, if you're entrepreneurial, if you are innovative, to me, innovation is creativity plus entrepreneurship. You know, creativity is having a novel idea, and entrepreneurship is taking your idea to the market. Even if you don't want to work for anybody, and you are entrepreneurial, you are innovative, a lot of employers will want to have you because you are going to stand out. So what we need to begin to tell our students is, how can you be entrepreneurial? You should be good at your work. I tell my students, I tell them about 7 habits of highly effective people. I tell my students that you guys, you must be good at your work. You must be, well, let me quickly tell, 7 habits of highly effective people. For students that don't know about it, the first thing I tell them, you must be proactive. I tell them when I start my lecture, you must be proactive. You must not be told to do something before you do it. Just go ahead and do something. If you know something is right to be done, just go ahead and do it. I tell them about second habit of highly effective people. I tell them about begin with a end in mind. Number 3, you must think first thing first. Put first thing first. Think win-win. Our thinking matters. If you are the one that you're always thinking lose-win, you're thinking that you can't make it in life. So there are so many things we didn't begin to teach our students, about how they perception, how they think. Another thing is, learn first to understand, then be understood. They must be good listeners. They must learn to synergize, and lastly, they must sharpen themselves. I tell them that, look, you must use the library. But the fact that you are doing sociology does not mean that you can't read about coding. Does not mean you can't read about robotics. You want to know about what is happening elsewhere. Does not mean, say for example, I did science. Does not mean I should not know about political science. We must let students know that when they go to university, they must have system thinking. In this world, you have this lateral thinking. You must tell them about that you have come to university, master sociology, master law, but not about other areas. Because it's possible, even if you have a degree in law, you might not work as a lawyer. My cousin went to Covenant University, did biochemistry. Today, he worked with Andela, although he lost that job. But he's also working as a photographer, and he writes very well, and he's making a lot of money. So what we need to begin to tell students is this: be good at your work, understand the subject matter, but think wide, and broaden your horizon. Know that you can solve problems, like what Professor Durotoye said. So I also have a podcast recently. I've been telling students my era about how they can start something. What's your passion? I tell people, what's your passion? If your passion is writing, like I write, write a book and publish it. There are so many other passions that you can have. Maybe you like baking. You can start baking something that you can sell it online. There was a time I went to present, a talk in one church in Nigeria, and I was telling people about converting their passion into money, converting their passion into business. And a guy came to meet me and he said, look, one thing, I like driving people all around. What business can I start? I said, why don't you start a driving school? You can always start something. Start small. Another thing I tell people is start small. There's a guy that, that's what I'm talking about on my podcast. There's a guy called Anthony Lacointo. He started selling, popcorn and sweets when he was 16 years old in Minneapolis. From there, he went to do his PhD. He did his PhD in Columbia University, and later he relocated to Japan. In Japan, he lectured in Japan. From there, he started 3 businesses, 2 restaurants, and a school for, teaching people about English. So there's so many things people can do. And young people can be in business. It's very easy for them to be in business, especially if you are less than 25 years old. You can still make mistakes and learn from mistakes. There's a friend that I have when I finished my university. He went to UI. And this guy, when he finished his degree, I think he did agri-biology, he didn't find a job. You know what he did? He started a small business. But now, after about 10 years, he just got a job with the government, a good job. So what I'm saying is this: let's give them a mindset. When you get to university, have a degree in sociology, but at the back of your mind, know that you can solve a problem. Know that the degree that you're having and understanding of entrepreneurship, and I think in some universities, they're also teaching them entrepreneurship. What problem can you solve? Like what Professor Durotoye said, what problem can you solve? And let students know that, let young people know that, look, they can solve problems. Give them good self-esteem. Let them know that there's no problem they cannot solve. I think there's other things I still want to talk about, but I can share, my link with students, my podcast. They can learn from me. They can ask me questions, and I'll be ready to, interrogate with them. Ready to answer their questions.
Professor Tosin, the questions are already coming in, but I'll before I pick the questions, let me welcome Dr. Karim Jimba from Afebawala University. Dr. Karim Jimba, are you there? Can you please unmute and then say hello to us, please, so that we can know if you are there. Dr. Karim Jimba. Can you say hello to us, Dr. Karim Jimba? You are not. Hello, Dr. Karim Jimba, we can't hear you. Okay, we'll move from Professor, while we were trying to resolve the technical issues with Dr. Jimba, we'll move straight to Mr. Ajani. Mr. Oluwole Ajani, you have been in the business of preparing final year graduates with preparing them how to get into the labor market. And you have a lot of programs that you run with universities. I would like to ask you, Mr. Wale, what in your own opinion is the lacuna between that certificate, the knowledge and the skill, which has made a lot of our graduates to be rather unemployed today in Nigeria? What do you think, where do you think the problem is? Mr. Wale.
Thank you very much, Professor Ademọwọ. Can you hear me loud and clear?
Loud and clear, we can hear you.
Fantastic, fantastic. So I thank Professor Adeolu, Durotoye. I also thank Professor Tosin, Badeniyi. They have all spoken from the academia, point of view, more or less, or mostly, So I will be coming from the industry, all right? So let us just imagine a triangle, okay? Let's imagine a triangle. At the apex of that triangle is government. At the base, on one side is academia, and on the other side of the base is EMEA. They have good relationship, active. Government and industry, there is also strong relationship. But at the base is the problem. So the two sides of the triangle have active relationship. But at the base, academia and industry, there is a whole lot of chronic misalignment, between academia and industry. And this is the reason why most times I'm a certified recruitment consultant, I'm a certified management consultant, I'm a certified trainer as well, and I coach. And I also mentor on different programs. So like what you are saying, employability, the way it is the graduates we are producing, are they in sync? Are they workplace ready? Do they even understand the type of skills, that is required in the workplace? If I use example of, donating a blood in a blood bank, because you look healthy and they've actually taken blood from you, does not mean that blood at the end of the day will be useful for the person they want to transfuse that blood to. So I'll say experience. I interviewed a lady on a panel some few years ago, 3 or 4. She's from one of the private universities. And I think 2 critical questions that I remember very well that was thrown to her was, can you tell us about the Pension Reform Act of 2004? She studied accounting, by the way. She made a second-class upper, and she's a chartered accountant. She studied accounting, she made second-class upper, and she's a chartered accountant. But Pension Reform Act of 2004, she cannot answer. Then we gave a figure. Can you actually let us know what the tax regime of someone that earns this amount of money, will be at the end of the month? She just mumbled and she said, I work in an auditing firm and we go out in groups. Do you think I will hire such a person? So, certificate is paper. Ronaldo, in the book titled Diploma Disease, he authored in 1997. He was talking about over-reliance on paper qualification. Over-reliance on paper qualification. I go quickly to say that chronic misalignment between what the labor market needs and what graduates, are being taught is the bane. That is the crux of the problem. Is from my point of view, from industry, that is if they say cocoa, that is the cocoa. Because mindset, there are a lot of things that can change. Myself, I set out, I will be an accountant. I love to not tie. I was weak in mathematics. No, I didn't go that way. I went archaeology. My JAM score was not too good. I went archaeology. Then I minored in anthropology. Then masters, I went to sociology. All my degrees today, I'm telling you, with no modicum of prejudice, my paper degrees, I've not used any to work one day in 14 years. So one of my professors in UI saw me, I gave him my complimentary card, and at the back, it was HR consulting, recruitment, manpower, training, outsourcing, project man. He said, where did I learn all of this? And it's about certification, it's about skills. CNBC Africa will say the future of work won't be about degrees, but skills. LinkedIn, which, yes, I came for employability bootcamp at Afera Balola in the month of February. That's a platform which I really appreciate. I see private universities doing a lot and taking some notch above of, our traditional, and that is, why wouldn't universities have incubators? Why wouldn't universities have accelerators? Why wouldn't they have experts in residence, entrepreneurs in residence? All the while we were in UI, entrepreneurship was not taught. But today, 4 years ago, I was invited to give a speech at the faculty. I saw that ETR 301 is now a course in the university. That is the way to go. I spent 7 weeks at Faith Foundation to go and learn how to run an enterprise. So the university needs to link up with the industry. So you need to bridge between towns and gowns. No one should play that, oh, I'm superior to, no. So I need to go to university to spend 8 or 9 years, but I'm going to spend the next 35 or 40 years or 50 outside the four walls of the university. So there should be a link. There should be a link. So people are asking questions. Does higher education still prepare people for jobs? That there's a lot of mismatch. Okay, get this statistic. 65% of children entering primary school will end up in jobs that don't exist yet. Professor Durotoye was talking about Airbnb. We have Fiverr, freelance. Most of us will be freelance because 80% of us will not use what we study in school to work. Professor Chris Ogbechi, Lagos Business School. So this is the issue. The future of work won't be about degrees, but about skills and competencies. Because when we talk about competencies, you're going to be talking about core competencies, generic competencies, and functional competencies at work. So somebody that studied history, like Professor Badeniyi was saying, because I studied biochemistry will not stop me from, oh, I also know something about coding. Oh, I also know something about machine learning. I also know something about design thinking. Today they said, don't bring phone to university, but all university is inside a phone today. The massive open online courses, Coursera, Udacity, Udemy, Allison, Linda, everything you need to be successful and be educated is .com. www in front, then .com at the back. You go to, you print your certificate and you learn and you stand up and, so university is not brick and mortar any longer. A university is a social experiment where people need to cross-fertilize ideas. In short, I would say we always in UI, we'll do 9 units, 3 courses, general GES, that you have to go outside of your faculty, not electives. It's not enough. I was at Babcock the other day. They said they are not offering engineering, offering religious. What are you doing relevant courses? I was at Adeleke University speaking on employability and future of work. Is university even having, the right link with industry to have discussions, on what are the skills needed? If I read to you, the 20 fastest growing skills in the world, no university in Nigeria is offering any of them. If you want me to read them, I'll read it. But if you want me to send
can you list the skills? We'd like to have the skills.
One is blockchain. One is blockchain. 2 is cloud platform. 3 is Volution. 4 is risk management. This looks like what universities are offering. 5 is scalar development. 7, enterprise architecture. TensorFlow, Apple Xcode. They are rapid photocopying, prototyping, SCORM, GiftLab, e-learning, what we need to, when universities are offering today mechatronics, advanced mechatronics, that's combining mechanical and electronics, and
we have that in our University. We started that first in Nigeria.
Mechatronics.
Yes, we have it as a degree. It's a course.
I know. Yes. I was speaking at the Department of Sociology, and a course, a master's in project and development implementation. And one of the lecturers was saying, what you will request ordinarily that will take you like 6 weeks or 8, that he went to one of the private universities in 2 days, his request was met. So funding, you see, the way the university system, Silicon Valley is doing a lot for California and America. The reason why they are saying, go and watch the movie Ivory Tower. Every student, every lecturer should see the movie Ivory Tower and 3 Idiots and see that you can't force anything on anybody. Somebody was talking about passion. Professor Badeniyi, I think Professor Durotoye as well. On a triangle, T on the apex, another triangle here, T on the apex is talent. On this side of the base is passion. On the other side of the base is interest. You need to find a nexus, among all these. What are you talented about? Oh, I can write. Are you channeling your right? I love the word commoditize that Professor Durotoye. You need to understand that that's education to employment. E to E is a McKinsey work. McKinsey is the greatest consulting company in the world. What if you finish education? What do you want to do with even if you say you want to employ yourself, or you want to solve problems?
Yes.
How are you create? Yes, sir.
I'm going to come back to you. I know you want to make a wonderful point about McKinsey, but then before you do that, I would like to go to someone who did a recent research on the link between internship and the employability of Nigerian graduates. And there are some revelations in our work because part of what we want to do on this webinar, since we started, is to have a link between the tower and the gown. So many of us have been in Ivory Tower for years, for a decade and a half, trying to teach the students, producing some of the students. But beyond that, we're also writing and publishing in learned journals that a lot of people are never going to read, except our colleagues. But then here she is. She did a research. I'm talking of Mrs. Mary Adelaiye. She did a research on the link between internship, what they call sideways and others, and employability. What she got from that research is really very revealing. Ms. Adelaiye, do you want to share your experience during the research with us? Ms. Adelaiye, you have the floor for 10 minutes, please.
Good afternoon, sir. I have listened with keen attention, and I must say that I've been truly impressed and educated by all that I have heard. In the last work that I did, I like to say before I reveal the revelation from that work, that we need to know that employability simply means the same thing, whether the students are going to work for themselves or they are going to work for others. The skills are the same. And I was glad when I was listening to our professor and talking about learning to work for ourselves. And it's exactly the same thing that organizations are making demands of these students. They are saying that these students do not have the skill for communication.
Mrs. Adelaiye, I want you to re-emphasize that, because I want our attendees to understand that employability goes beyond coming out and saying, I want to get a job. If you are not useful for yourself, you cannot be useful to others. So many graduates are not useful to themselves. They don't have the skill to even better their life. So there's nothing for them to say. That is what you are saying is the meaning of employability, right?
Yeah, it is the ability, the capability to gain employment either for self or gain employment in another organization, maintain that employment, and progressively succeed in that employment. That's employability. And organizations are telling us that there's a mismatch between the graduates we are sending to them and their demands. And it is because there are certain characteristics and qualities that they do not have. They are not contending the fact that they have the core skill. They are not, of course, most people who go to school now come out with brilliant results, whether the results are earned or not. As a
Mr. Adelaiye, the network is really not allowing us to join us. Mr. Adelaiye. Mr. Adelaiye. Okay, it seems Mr. Adelaiye is Mr. Owoeye, can you hear me? Mr. Owoeye.
Hello. Yes.
Yes, it seems
Yes. Yes, I
Mr.
can.
Adelaiye is off. Our network is having network issues, but she's making a
Okay.
real wonderful point. Maybe what we're going to do, you continue. You want make your own presentation while we await her to join us back, please.
Okay. Good afternoon once again. And from my own perspective, I'm an HR specialist, and I've been doing that for a while, thankfully. And one thing I realized is I'm going to buttress what Mr. Adelaiye was trying to say, that employability goes beyond just being able to get a job. Even to be an entrepreneur, employability comes in play in that, in the sense that you need the right skill. You need the right skill. Most graduates, hello, can you hear me?
Yes, we can hear you.
Okay. Most graduates these days do not have the right skills. Basically, the mindset is not balanced. There is a shift in the mindset. The mindset is either a job is waiting for me in this company where I don't have to do anything, or the fact that I just need to go home, that I went to school. Now, one thing most graduates need to understand is that academics, the curriculum being taught in the university, it's just a pointer. It points to the direction. Academics or certificate degree is what separates them from the general population. Now, to be able to categorize themselves as being employable, they need to back that certificate with the right skill set, which most of our graduates are actually lacking. One of the professors that spoke earlier were talking about self-study. There are strengths which our graduates are not channeling into. They go to classes, but they do not assimilate the pointer. Now, for someone who is yet to assimilate the pointer, how is he or she going to build on that? So which makes them unemployable. And also, when I said there is a shift in balance, the balance of mindset is this: not everybody would be an entrepreneur. Not everybody would be an entrepreneur. And those that fall into the category, or when you come for an interview and you have a first class, and I'm talking to you about what you studied, and yet you cannot give me the basis of it, then that is the problem. And that is because most of them are textbook smart, but not skill smart. They are textbook smart, but not skill smart. Hello?
Yes, we can hear you.
Okay. They are textbook
Mr.
smart, but
Adelaiye
not
will come
skill
back.
smart.
Hold on, Miss Adelaiye will come back to you, please. Let Miss Owoeye finish, then we'll come back to you, ma. So please, Owoeye, please go on.
okay, sir.
Okay. As I was saying, most of our graduates are textbook smart, but not skill smart. They go to classes. Some of them who manage to listen to what the lecturer is saying, they just hold on to that. When you go to classes, when you're in the process of acquiring a degree, you take what you learn in class as a pointer, then you go outside the class to build on it by acquiring skills. Most of our graduates are more concerned, even before they graduate, they are more concerned about money. So even process or ways at which they can get these skills, they do not look at it. Before I started working, I started internship, even right from my first degree. Every ASU strike, I always took up a job. I wasn't looking at the pay. Rather, I was looking at what I was going to learn. First-hand experience was always on my mind. I always took up an internship. I always took up a volunteer job. I always took up as much job as possible because I already mapped out my direction. I used my academics to map out the direction. I took it as a pointer and mapped out my direction, and I started building on it. Most of our graduates are not doing that. They find it difficult to go online to solve for free tuitions. There are lots of free online courses which would also help them build on these pointers. They do not source for internships. They do not source for volunteer jobs. Volunteer, you know where you're going to. Oh, sorry, I would like to be an HR person, or I would like to be an accountant. Can I volunteer in your account department? You are there to learn. Your first-hand experience as an HR person, when I look at CVs, I look at what or ways at which you have acquired skills. I look at your degree, but before I look at your degree, I look at the skills. I go to the skill sets. A lot of graduates do not know how to use common Microsoft Excel, which even as a business owner, you need your Microsoft Excel to put in your informations, your numbers, your documents. These are skills. Our graduates are not ready to acquire skills. Rather, they are eager to acquire money. I think to look at the issue of employability, we need to focus on skills, the readiness of our graduates. Are they ready? Most of them just go to school for going to school's sake. They do not understand that everything is not taught in school. You have to do self-training as well. And like I said earlier, not everybody would be an entrepreneur. But at the same time, employability goes to being an entrepreneur and also an employee. If you are unemployable, you cannot be an entrepreneur. If you lack the skills to hold a business, you cannot have a business and it will flourish. If you lack the skills to hold a business, you cannot be an employee to another person's business and be contributory to that business. So it goes both ways. Employability goes both ways. That's it on my end.
Okay, thank you very much, Ms. Owoeye. Employability, skill set, and the lacuna is also still highlighted by you. Mrs. Mary Adelaiye, can we come back to you? You were trying to make a valid point about preparing the foundation to give us the outcome of your research, trying to tell us more about employability. Please, can you please, you still have 8 minutes to do that, please. Unmute from the side, ma'am.
I think the number one point I need to make is that as it's related to this seminar, what organizations are saying is that certificates are not enough. Certificate is no scam. Certificate is not enough. And what they're also saying is that the skills they need can partly be taught in school, or at the works. Students should be prepared from school to be ready to learn at work. What they found from many of these graduates is that they have no willingness to learn. There is no commitment to work. And some of the experiences are gotten during the placement exercises that these students are sent to have in many of these industries. Students don't report to work on time. Some don't come at all. Some doctor their report and expect their human resource manager to sign that they have done the work that they have not done. And they never knew that organizations are using this as scorecard against them. Productive and progressive organizations will not offer such candidates job in the future. So how do we learn is what we should address. To say that school is no longer a place where knowledge is transferred, I don't think I will buy to that. The school still stands to be a good place, a potent place for knowledge transfer. Because according to Armstrong, one of the potent means for human capital development is formally organized education system. So, but what is happening to commitment from these students? And I think it goes to say that the way they learn in school is the way they want to work in the organization. Go to many institutions today. These were revelations we got. That there are many students who came with beautiful results, which the organizations know that these results were not earned. And if you go to school, teachers, we will say the same thing. There are a lot of students who don't even read, but they want to pass exams, and they pass. There are a lot of students who don't know how to study. There are a lot of students who sit in our classes and don't ask questions at all. They are not inquisitive. They don't participate in discussion. They don't do assignments. They simply copy assignments from others, and they submit to us. And what do? We mark them, we grade them, we ask them to go, they have done well. Students today, cheating, misconduct is the norm. You catch a student in misconduct,
Mr. Adelaiye, your network is unstable. Your network is unstable. This is quite unfortunate because you are making some valid points. Professor Adeolu Durotoye. Professor Durotoye, are you online?
Yes, I'm here.
Oh,
Can you
okay,
hear me?
okay, sir. While Mrs. Adelaiye is trying to come back, I would like to put this question to you. From what the panelists are saying, it's obvious that even from your presentation to Professor Badeniyi, to Oluwole Ajani, to Mrs. Adelaiye and Owoeye, it seems that he is that observe problem with university curriculum and the ability for that the products of that curriculum to either be useful to themselves and also or to be useful to any employer. And that is where you are talking about self-personal development. Where do you think the problem is, despite the introduction of entrepreneurship in schools? Do you think the introduction of entrepreneurship into curriculum has solved any matter at all?
Yeah, thank you, Professor Ademọwọ, and I really want to appreciate this very important panel. I've learned a lot. I've taken notes. Before talking about curriculum, who develops the curriculum? We are talking about the manpower that we have within our institutions, the universities, the polytechnics, and the rest of them. I think that the process of employing lecturers, self-employing people who work in our institutions, we should not just limit it to, competency tests about what they've studied, because you can't give what you don't have. We need to employ lecturers, we need to employ people who themselves understand what it means to identify a problem and solve a problem, because they cannot give what they don't have. Is very, very important. Now, Professor Badeniyi was talking about people being proactive. I will give a personal experience. I studied political science at University of Lagos, and I just knew that my degree would not give me a job. Or maybe I will end up being a teacher, and there's nothing bad in being a teacher, but I never wanted to be a high school teacher anyways. So what did I started doing, writing political stories, sending it to newspapers. I just felt that I needed to position myself for employment after school. How do I do that? I need to make myself relevant in a particular area. So it was so easy for the Guardian newspaper to give me a place for my youth service and to employ me 3 months before the end of my youth corps. Because before leaving the university, I started writing for them. I was deliberately and consciously positioning myself for that. I wanted them to know that I could do what they are looking for. And I became the editor-in-chief of my faculty of Social Sciences, University of Lagos, and I started writing. So that is being proactive, positioning yourself for employment. So our graduates, our students in our institutions need to start identifying their core competence. They need to know where they can fit in, even if they want to employ for a job. I understand what Mr. Mitayo said, that we cannot all be entrepreneurs, but of course we can improve ourselves by providing, selling yourself in an area that you have core competence. And that area might not necessarily be even in your area of study. Okay, your study will, however, sharpen your skill set in that area. So that is very important. So I've mentioned 2 things. Number one, when you are employing lecturers, you need to understand that they just go beyond being book smart. They also need to be street smart, because that's what they will pass on to their students. Number 2 is to be proactive. Number 3, Mr. Ajani mentioned something about the connection between the TAN and the Ghana. Fantastic. In Canada, for instance, industries, they approach universities and give them a problem to solve. So we have this problem. We need a solution, and we are going to fund this research. And so when universities solve that problem, they make their students to be part of that solution, so that when their students graduate, they are able to fit into implementing the solutions that they have provided. What is the connection between the industry, which Mr. Ajani eloquently spoke about? The connection between the industry and our institutions. Is there any kind of rapport, intellectual rapport between the industry and our universities? If the industry, people say that if Mohammed does not go to the mountain, let the mountain go to Mohammed. Our institutions can actually approach industries and say, we've identified these problems. Can you fund a research to provide a solution to this? I think that is a factor that must also be important. Thirdly, is that when our graduates graduate and they are just looking for a job in their area of discipline, they also have to start thinking, what else can I do other than what I've been trained to do in school? Okay, when I got to Canada newly, I didn't get a job. And you know what I did? I remembered that, look, I've been a journalist, so how can I commoditize that skill? I discovered that the Nigerian community then had nothing to tell them about news from home. And it wasn't the era of internet and all that. So what did I do? I started a newspaper. I just composed a letter. Look, I've been a journalist. This is what I can do. I can promote small businesses, and I can also promote news from home through my newspaper. It was a free newspaper called Nigerian Monitor, free newspaper. But then, being a free newspaper, I got many people who wanted to reach out to the Nigerian and African community to advertise in that newspaper. It might interest you that I bought my first home in Canada through the money I made from running a free newspaper. But my skill set as a journalist became handy. I combined it with an entrepreneurial mindset to come up with a commodity that could be exchanged for value. So it's very, very important. So we're talking about curriculum, yes, we need to look at it. We are doing entrepreneurship in school. One of my assignments as a provost, College of Social and Management Sciences, Afe Babalola University, one of the things I wanted to achieve was to make sure that every student that passes through Afe Babalola University, whether you're a doctor, whether you studied law, whatever, you have a skill set that can make you to create jobs, to solve problems. We couldn't achieve that as much as we wanted to. But of course, others can take it over and continue to do that to ensure that, yes, we produce graduates who are employable and who are also useful to themselves, either by having the skill set and being proactive to position themselves for employment, even outside their core discipline, or also being able to start something that will provide a solution in an area and could also make them employers of labor. Thank you.
Thank you very much, Professor Badeniyi. You want to pick the same question? Professor Badeniyi. Professor Badeniyi, Professor Tosin.
Okay.
Yes, please. Please, you had the question, right?
Yeah, I have the question.
Yes, please.
Professor Durotoye has said a lot. What I just want to still say is this. I agree that not everybody will be an entrepreneur, but I want to say that it's important that we train our students to be entrepreneurial, because if you're entrepreneurial, even if you don't work for somebody, but that skill of being entrepreneurial, being innovative, will make you to stand out. Employers will want to employ you. Another thing I also want to say is that employers too should also know that when graduates are coming to them, they also must be ready to train them. The university cannot give the graduates everything they need to work in a particular setting. So I also believe that sometimes employers to expect too much from graduates. As university, we should try our best. We should keep on updating our curriculums so that it can fit to what the industry expects. But like they say that I've forgotten how they say it in Yoruba, that when you are training a child, you need everybody in the community to train up a child. So the university cannot do it alone. And I also want to, Ms. Rita said something the other time about internship is very, very important, because I graduated from FUTA. At FUTA, the degree is 5 years program that we used to have FUTA, and I think it's 5 years at the moment. I did my internship at UAC because I did food and industrial management. I did my youth service at Cadbury. That experience really assisted me as I went on. Then I went back to FUTA before I did my PhD. So internship is very, very important. We should encourage our students to do that. And like what Ms. Temitayo said, I think students should also think about volunteering. They should not think about the money. They should think about the skill set they can have, all the things that will make them to stand out. I believe everybody has said, a very important, cogent points, and I for one, I've really learned from what all the speakers have said. Thank you.
Okay, thank you. Mr. Oluwole Ajani, you want to pick the same question that we raised? Mr. Ajani? Mr. Oluwole Ajani? Mr. Oluwole Ajani? Mr. Ajani, are you there?
I think there's a network problem because he has unmuted himself, but we can't hear him.
Oh, okay. Okay, so we'll go to Mr. Temitayo. Mr. Temitayo, what do you think is the...
Yes, I'm here.
Yeah, you had the question I asked. Do you want to say something about internship? You were in school and you were taught internship. Entrepreneurship. What do you think entrepreneurship has contributed in building you to the level you are now?
Thank you very much. Like I said earlier on, the skill set matters. Entrepreneurship, which I learned in the university, prepared me, gave me the knowledge of what a business is and how to run a business. Now I find myself doing things for myself as an entrepreneur and also as an employee. And this knowledge comes into play. And it's not just about the knowledge alone. I built on that knowledge, but that knowledge of entrepreneurship was a pointer. When you are able, or when you have the understanding of how to run a business, then you can run your own business and run another person's business as an employee, which actually makes you an asset. That is what graduates need to understand. And also, universities should not just teach entrepreneurship. I remember during my NYC, we did something called SAID, skill acquisition. It's about skills acquisition, and they brought people who skilled individuals into the NYC camp to teach us certain skills. But we had to be willing. We had to be willing. So when the university teaches students entrepreneurship, but the student is not willing to build on it, then it's a waste. And that's why it starts from home. It starts from the school itself. How many of our students are we placing in departments to intern? Departments that are actually suiting to them. We have the accounting students. Have you picked a few of your students and placed them in the accounting department of the school to be mentored? Now they have a first-hand experience of how an office operates, how an accounting office operates. The academics is the pointer. The experience in that department is another foundation built on that pointer. And from there, they keep moving, and they keep moving. So like I said, the entrepreneurship which I learned in the university was not a waste. It pointed me in the direction and I built on that direction. So no matter what the school teaches the students, it still reverses back to the students being able and willing to build on it. Entrepreneurship is the knowledge as to how to run a business. And running that business could either be your own personal business or another person's business as an employee. In Lagos here, I teach business etiquette in a cloud technical school, apart from being an HR specialist in an advert company. And one of the things I often tell my students in the cloud technical school is this: you can be an independent cloud provider, and also you can offer your services to a cloud company as an employee. But it depends on you as a person. Do you have the knowledge of business? Do you have an entrepreneurship skill set? Do you have the knowledge of entrepreneurship? Because it goes back to this: you being able to run your own personal business and another person's business. Thank you.
Thank you. Ms. Adelaiye, do you want to pick the question? Do you want to attempt the question? I know you still have some few minutes to make your submission the other time. The network is really giving us some issues. Mr. Adelaiye, you have the floor. But Ajani, I will come back to you after Mr. Adelaiye. Mr. Adelaiye, please, you have the floor.
Okay, sir. Thank you very much. So sorry the network is so bad here. Yes, I was saying that, having said that, we discovered that even the organizations themselves have a lot to do, which they are not doing. I cannot imagine a whole
It's quite unfortunate that
resource manager signing didn't submit him. Are you hearing me, sir?
We can hear you, but your bandwidth is very low. Your network is very low. But go ahead, please.
Okay, sir. So what we discovered is that the commitment from organizations is not good enough, as well as from the students. As much as the students are not too committed to learning, the organizations then
This is quite unfortunate. You are really making a good point, Mrs. Adelaiye. Mrs. Adelaiye, you are making a good point, but we can't continue like this. Ajani, are you online? Mr. Oluwole Ajani, are you online? Are you back online, please?
Yes, I'm on. Yes, I'm back online.
So
Sorry,
we have to switch to you because
more as stakeholders in building the employability.
This is quite unfortunate because Mr. Adelaiye, we are having technical problem with.
That they should come.
We're having problem with your. Okay, you have gone again. The network is really bad from your end. Maybe we should go back to Ajani. Ajani, please.
Yes,
what do you think? The question I ask others is: we are talking about the lacuna between the knowledge in the university, the skill, and the certificate they carry all about. And I'm aware that there is a program in most universities now called entrepreneurship. If after 2-3 years of introducing entrepreneurship in schools, we are still having this problem of employability, of people being useful to themselves and being employable by others, where do you think the problem is? Where exactly do you think the problem is?
Okay, thank you. Thank you very much. Thank you very much. I'm glad to just stand, on my background. Yes. I had a first degree and a master's. Yes, that's my academic. Yeah, I run my own business today. In my opinion, university was not set up to train people on entrepreneurship. Who are those people training the students on entrepreneurship? University of Ibadan, which we have a 5-year memorandum of agreement with, as Center for Entrepreneurship and Innovation, which is outside of the school premises. There's the Center for Entrepreneurship and Innovation. And this is like, a replica of what the Ivy Leagues in US, what they operate, the Yale, the Stanford, the Harvard, the MIT, and so on. So for how many modules of entrepreneurship, who is teaching it? How many modules of entrepreneurship? People teaching, are they equipped? Those are the questions we'll be asking ourselves. It's key for we in recruitment to say proper people placement prevents problems. Professor Durotoye was saying, how do you hire? Are you hiring rightly? So from my opinion, university is not set up to train people on entrepreneurship. You can't compare somebody that learned entrepreneurship in University of Ibadan or University of Nigeria with somebody that went to Lagos Business School. This is where objectives are clear. Companies have vision, they have mission, they have core values. If I will chip in, the company name, which I use today and I believe in my brand, is SETI. The SETI is from Capability, Empowerment, Resourcing, and Training Initiative. You can't give what you don't have, like Professor Durotoye said. University will teach theory and a little practical to some extent. It will not. It feels like ideas I forget. I see, I remember. I do, I understand. It's a Chinese, it's a translation from a particular proverb. I'm not really sure now. So if we are saying thematic and practicality, you need to bring people that have actually been immersed in that particular area. That's why today we say we need to reskill, we need to upskill. And you are talking about subject matter experts. If you pick CIPM today, Chartered Institute of Personnel Management of Nigeria, which I belong to in the last 14 years, I am one of the subject matter experts in recruitment, selection, and placement. I think we are just 6 or 7. That is the way to go. That is the way to go. Who are the subject matter experts in these areas? So we wouldn't say, oh, it's sufficient to say, if in 2 years or 3 years, have we asked ourselves these particular questions? Why are organizations having portfolios that are not in sync with what university is actually teaching? Can I give you some examples?
Please do. Go ahead.
You will say in a particular organization, you have a portfolio manager. You have opportunity manager. People will not go to school to study opportunity. They will not go to school to study diversity. More, but you have in organizations diversity manager, portfolio managers, and so that's why we are saying the sync. There is a misalignment, and that is where it is. If you will really have entrepreneurship in school, you will bring entrepreneurs in residence, E&R. That is, if you Google E&R, you will see these guys need to come from the industry and come and maybe you bring them on different modules. At Faith Foundation, we had 7 weeks and we had about 14 faculties, which one of my faculty was Tokunbo Odebumi, the one they call Obalende Suya. I later invited him to my church to also come and give a talk. So entrepreneurship can be taught by somebody that is teaching theory. I'm sorry, it's just what it is. It has to be taught by people in enterprise, building, scaling, people that are studying entrepreneurship fully. That's. So you need to link industry with, why won't you, see what Professor Durotoye is saying. Oh, this is a EDC, Enterprise Development Center at Lagos Business School makes more money than Pan Atlantic University because they are the ones looking out, Coca-Cola, Unilever, they're talking to Shell, they're talking to Chevron. Center of Excellence should be instituted, should be established in our universities, accelerators, incubators, and you wouldn't, if you have 10 faculty on it, maybe you take 3 or 4 people from university, 6 should come from outside. 60%, if not 70%, is the truth. I've seen it, I've been there, and that's what I can say. So the rationale, the objective, it feels like if you understand your statement of problem of your research, you have finished your conclusion, you have finished it, if you understand your statement of problem. So we need to collaborate and make it a multi-stakeholder approach in solving this Hydra-headed monster. Youth unemployment will be here to stay for longer years to come. But are we doing the right things? Are we speaking to the right people? Are we harnessing the right potentials? So at the end of the day, you won't produce a first class that is not job place ready.
Thank you. Thank you for that. Mr. Adelaiye, if you are back, we can still take you for some minutes, Mr. Adelaiye. Mr. Adelaiye.
Thank you,
Adelaiye,
sir.
yes. Go ahead, please.
Yes. I just listened to the last presenter, and actually, I'm in tune with some of the things he said, because we discovered that organizations want graduates that are employable, but they're not making sufficient commitment to improving the development of these employability skills. So we felt that from the research, we saw that it would have been good if organizations collaborate with higher institutions. They can institute clubs. They can commit resources to activities that promote employability in school. These activities happen on the campuses, but they are funding it. They are supplying materials. They are going there to provide training. They are going there to provide knowledge. They are going there to share experiences. They can act as
Okay, Mrs. Adelaiye has issues again.
Human resource managers can go there from time to time, as there is expecting them to have. Clubs, sir.
We can hear you, but you see, your network is fluctuating.
I have moved from place to place.
Okay, it's okay, it's okay, ma. It's okay, it's okay. Just go ahead, please.
And then we also saw that I had said that the commitment was both from the students themselves and the organizations. The students themselves are also not committed to developing these skills. Because But part of the things the students should do is to devote most of their money resources to many of them are not learning. They are not learning in school and they go to industries and they are not learning. And one wonders where they want to learn. So it is a wise investment for students to painfully make the commitment to commit their energy to learning these skills. And they can learn these skills by involving themselves in extracurricular activities. Some of these extracurricular activities are objective driven. As most of them can be undertaken while they are learning in school. They are not going to expect the institution to provide all this for them. They have extra time that they can commit to objective driven extracurricular activities from which they can learn and improve their employability skill. And then we need, when we teach entrepreneurship also, we need to tell making money. We should teach them that many of them will volunteer. Many of them will get committed to community services that are visible, where they can develop these skills and then be useful for themselves and be useful for organizations. Thank you.
Thank you, ma'am. Thank you. Finally, we're able to get you made your point. We'll take one or two questions now. We have some questions already from Maureen Omu, who is asking, how can one measure, and this is to all our panelists, how can we measure someone's level of competence? That is from Maureen Omu. Professor Durotoye, Professor Tosin, Badeniyi, Mr. Ajani, Mrs. Mary, and Mr. Mitai, I hope you are getting the questions down because we take this round of questions. There's another question from Stanley Boro, who is asking a specific question on how to, his question is simple. He said, since there is a misalignment between the industry and the academia, what is the way forward? If we have identified a misalignment between the industry and the academia, Stanley Boro is asking, what is the way forward? From Engineer Oluwole Aiyegbusi is asking, why is it difficult for graduates to migrate from graduate job to job creation? Engineer Aiyegbusi want our panelists to answer the question. Why is it difficult for graduates to leave the school and then get a job, even when they have some good grades? He's also asking, how can we enhance employability? He wants to know how we can enhance job employability. He's also asking another question, which is still from Engineer Aiyegbusi. He's saying that since we have a lot of researchers in our schools, universities, polytechnics, have a lot of publications, but unfortunately, they do not have support from the industry on how they could translate this to the benefit of this academia and even the students. He's saying, how can we get this worked out? Asking specifically Professor Durotoye and Professor Badeniyi, based on South Africa and Canadian experience. There's also another question from Chinedu Ogoke. He's asking, shouldn't there be less emphasis on entrepreneurial skills? Shouldn't less emphasis be placed on entrepreneurial skills in the universities? I don't understand what he's asking. Maybe he's saying that there's too much emphasis that is currently being placed on entrepreneurial skills, and that at the end of the day, people are not really getting what they have gone to university to understand. Emmanuel Akpan is having contribution. For him, Emmanuel Akpan is saying, okay, his own is essentially a contribution kind of. He's saying that it is not completely true that entrepreneurial study can't be delivered without bringing people from the enterprise. There are elements to entrepreneurship. To him, there is creativity, there is adaptation, and for him, these two are important, and that there's no need. I'm sure he's reacting to Ajani, saying that there's no need to bring anybody from outside of the university to come and treat entrepreneurship. We'll take more questions as they come. For now, we go to our panelists to give responses to some of these questions that have been asked. Professor Durotoye, are you, please, you have the floor, please. Response to some of these questions that have been asked.
Okay, thank you. Can you hear me?
Live and clear, sir.
Okay, I will just try my best to respond to some of them, maybe not all. I will start from the question, and maybe I didn't get all the questions, but the issue of what is the way forward since there's a misalignment between industry and institutions? The way forward is that institutions should approach the industry and come up with a proposal on identifying problems and finding a solution to the problem. The issue really is not about, because I saw someone on the chat box saying that even when you have ideas, the finance to fund the ideas is a problem. Yes. I think it's not about resources, it's about resourcefulness. Many a times we just want somebody to give us money and then we go and play with it. No, resourcefulness means that out of nothing, you create something. Institutions should come up with an idea, approach the industry and look for support and say, we want to research into this and we want to provide a solution to this problem, and that solution is going to help the industry. So if industry does not see a need to approach institutions should take the initiative to do that. And there could also be a kind of rapport, intellectual rapport between the industry and the GAN to be able to come up with a way of working together, creating a nexus so that there will be meaning. But now there's a disconnection. There's a disconnection that needs to be dealt with. Okay, so I challenge people like Professor Ademọwọ to come up with some of these ideas, approach industries and look for solutions, how to work together, how to really come up with an idea. Then how can we enhance employability? I think some of them I've alluded to in the past. One of it is that, and I agree, with I think Mr. Ajani, who also concurred with what I said, that sincerely, if I sit on a panel trying to employ lecturers now, I'm not going to be looking at your certificate alone. I'm not going to be looking at your breakthroughs in academics alone. I want to see how well you are wired to solving problems, so that we produce students that will look like us. So we need to have lecturers who really know how to think outside the box and come up with ideas that will make their students be employable, depending on whatever. I agree with all the definitions of employability. It's not only positioning you to be employed or for employment, but also for you to be able to create employment. So, and then a lot of researchers have no support from the industry. How can we resolve this? Like I've said, let there be an approach. Let the universities approach, or the institutions generally approach industry. Then someone said there should be less emphasis on less entrepreneurial skills. I don't think so. I totally disagree with that. There should be more emphasis. We should, in fact, before you graduate in any field, let's ask you a question that should be part of your final dissertation or whatever, is to say that I'm going into the world. How am I going to solve the problems of the world? How do I create jobs? What am I looking forward to? If I'm looking forward to employment, how can I, what skill set have I acquired to make me ready for employment? Or if I'm looking forward to, creating a job, what kind of job will I create? It should be part of what you need to do before you graduate. Finally, the thing is, our students will be ready to start from the bottom. In life, every good thing is built. I see the mindset of most Nigerian students. They don't want to start from the bottom. They just want to be at the top from day one. It does not happen like that. Every good thing in life you build. You build your marriage, you build your children, you build a business, you build a career. You must be ready to start from the bottom. Don't be afraid to start from the bottom. We all started from the bottom. You don't become a professor in one day because you have a PhD. No, you start from leg 2 to leg 1 to senior lecturer and on like that. So we need to let our students know that you don't start, you've got to be ready. Don't be afraid of being at the bottom, because when you are that, the only way to go is up. Thank you. That is my little contribution.
Thank you. Professor Badeniyi, your own contribution to, your own answer to the questions that were raised by our attendees.
Thank you. Thank you, everybody. Professor Durotoye has said a lot. I just want to add to how can we make our graduates to be more, employable. One of the things I think we can do is to begin to also emphasize the importance of soft skills. We should begin to teach our students, how to communicate, presentation skills, leadership skills, attention to detail, teamwork. I always tell my students the meaning of team is together everyone achieves more. Training them about teamwork, because if you want to work in an industry, you need to work with people. And especially in countries where you have diversity, you must learn how to work with people that are not like you, teamwork, keeping to time. Another thing that is also very, very important that we must also emphasize, the importance of internship and what we also call WIL. In South Africa, we call it WIL, Work Integrated Learning. Students are allowed to go to the industry to spend maybe 6 months. By the time they work in the industry, between 6 months and 1 year, they are able to learn a lot of things, a lot of things of the job. Is very, very important. And also, it's also very important for, the university to also prepare students before they graduated. In my university, we do what is called just job preparedness training before they go to the industry. We invite people from the industry to tell them about what they're expecting of our students. I'm also a member of SAPOS, South African Association of Food Science and Technology. I'm the vice chairperson of SAPOS in KZN. We also organize what is called Career Roadshow. We invite different people from the food industry to speak to our third-year students. They will tell them about different sectors where they can work, maybe food retail, they can work in R&D, research and development, they can work with the government. We invite people from the government, we invite people from different, so we invite them to be a day workshop, and there's going to be time for lunch, there's going to be time for breakfast, and we also tell the students, it's very important for us too, as lecturers, to also invite some of our colleagues that are professionals. We can invite them to our class to come and take one of our lectures, because when they come and take our lectures, they are on the field. We are just talking about theory, but these people are on the field, and when they speak to our students are able to understand it better than us, that we're just teaching theory. I think these are some of the things we can do to improve employability. And then I also believe something, a great teacher motivates. We must train our lecturers to become great teachers. We must train our lecturers to become leaders. Somebody say a leader is a dealer of hope. So our lecturers will begin to, motivate our students, letting them know they can be the best. And that's all I want to say now. Thank you,
sir. Before I take on all of that panelists, I would like to quickly, Dr. Oluwole Aiyegbusi has been with us. I never knew he didn't join us as a panelist. He joined as attendee, where he could not talk and we could not see him. Really? Dr. Aiyegbusi, you have the floor. I just moved you from the attendee now. You didn't use the link that I sent to you to join as a panelist. Please, you have the floor for a few minutes to make some contributions. I'm really sorry. Dr. Aiyegbusi, yes. You can hear me.
Thank you very much, Professor Ademọwọ. I am very sorry, I told you that I'm an amateur in this webinar, Zoom, and some other things. but I'm learning. I've listened to Professor Adeolu Durotoye. It's a pleasure hearing from him after a long time. He's a very cerebral person. Professor Tosin Badeniyi has made some very seminal contribution. Even my student, Tayo Owoeye, I'm happy she's a big lady now. Now, coming to this certificate na scam, certificate is not a scam. I was told when I was entering IFE, what the Vice Chancellor told us then in 1975 was that the university is just to open the mind, and you can always build on it after. Now, what is the certificate? A certificate is a confirmation of some body of knowledge which the students have acquired after a period of studies. Now, the problem is even with the admission exercise. Some people come to the university with very fake results, and some have been discovered, some went through, and Then somebody talked about the curriculum. Our curriculum is faulty. There are too many theoretical things put in the curriculum at the expense of practical things. The teaching, most lecturers teach from the abstract. They don't teach from what is on ground. Then our students, what I note is that our students, they memorize what we teach them. I always turn them, can you remember what you did last semester? They cram, they memorize, and forget about what is being taught. Now, there are so many interventions. The SciWest, how useful is the SciWest in various universities? I think they have not been able to do as much as possible. They ask students to find internship by themselves, and I don't think that is good enough. I know of some of our students who had their SciWest in a one-man bakery. What is it going to, what knowledge is it going to acquire in such a rudimentary place of work? So when we talk about the recruitment exercise, in our own days, there were no aptitude tests because we actually were very committed. We didn't memorize. Then, because of these inadequacies in the way we bring up our students, organizations, when they take in students, they tend to retrain them because they are not packaged well for as a useful tool to them. Now, there have been some interventions which are very feeble. You have the National Directorate of Employment, which is supposed to, train people with skills and everything, but it's more like a civil service type of thing. The NYC, as Tayo mentioned, they have this skill acquisition thing, but it's still at this rudimentary stage. I agree with Professor Badeniyi about the interface between the universities and industry. The universities are not interfacing properly with industry. Unfortunately, because of the economic problem we have, most of the industries that should be absorbing students, absorbing graduates, they already closed down because of economic activities. I remember as an undergraduate, Apapa Oshodi Expressway, there were so many companies there that the organization which I headed, ISEC International, we were having exchange programs. Like when I was in my third year, part 3, I went to Finland, Helsinki, and worked in a investment company. And I acquired some expertise But because of the economic problem in the country, our present students, even in ISEC, they cannot go on international exchange. And that is very, very unfortunate. I agree with Mr. Oluwole Ajani that there should be more interface. The university should take the initiative by meeting the industries. And I think by that, there will be a very good interface. And our students will be able to acquire the necessary skills that they will need to be an entrepreneur. Thank you very much.
Thank you very much, sir. We're happy to really have you online. Yes, I'll go back to Mrs. Adelaiye briefly with maybe 2-3 minutes. You have something to say?
Sorry, Professor.
Yes.
Professor
Yes.
Ademọwọ, I have to leave. My apologies. I think I told you I would.
Yes, of course.
So,
we really appreciate
sorry,
it.
I have to go.
No, thank you so much for your time. We really appreciate your contribution. Thank you, sir. Thank you, sir. We appreciate you, sir.
You're welcome.
Yes, sir. Ms. Adelaiye, you have the floor.
Yes, thank you very much, sir. Yet, in line with the other speakers, I'm also of the opinion, like I said before, that the organizations need to do more. And this has to be pioneered by the institutions themselves. We must ensure as a matter of policy that we recognize organizations in the locality where institutions are set that are friendly to accommodate students or to come to our campuses to help to inculcate these skills to our students. And because I know if we start with those that are friendly with us, there are organizations that are more committed than others. We can have, as a matter of policy in the semester, a certain number of organizations whose CEOs will come to the school to facilitate some of the development of these skills. And I think this is the kind of collaboration I was talking about. And I was also saying that even the organizations themselves can set up clubs. They also provide the training and the instruction, at intervals organized with the school and agreed with the school. This they can do. And then we must also teach our students whatever they learn, whatever skill they learn, they should do. You cannot be an
Okay, Mr. Adelaiye, we have to move to, because we have
entrepreneur is supposed to do. So if you learn a employability is to practice what they have learned.
Okay, thank you so much.
Thank you, sir.
We appreciate that's your punchline. Employability goes beyond just saying you want to work for somebody, and it's also involved you being useful to yourself. Ms. Owoeye, you have 2 minutes to also respond to some of the questions that have been raised by our attendees. You want to say something?
Yes, I do. Okay, first of all, I would like to look at the question, how can we measure someone's level of competency? When to measure a level of competency, it starts with, is this person able to take initiative? A person or an employee or an individual who is able to take initiative. You're able to take initiative, you look at where you and you revert back into looking for opportunities or looking for knowledge to make yourself better in that area you're lacking. So to be competent, you have to be able to exhibit initiative. And also, I'll look at why is it difficult for graduates to migrate from classroom to being employable? I would say the balance has shifted. Most of these graduates are not in school for the right reasons. It's more like parents are pressuring them to go to school. So a child that is being pressured to acquire a degree, what makes you think the necessary skills that makes him or her employable? That is one of the biggest challenges. And also looking at should less emphasis be made on entrepreneurship? No, less emphasis should not be made on entrepreneurship, because even as an employee, you are managing a business. So you still need the knowledge of entrepreneurship to manage a business for someone else as an employee and to manage your own business as a business person. So less emphasis should not be laid on it. And
Thank
also, there was a particular contribution where someone said that they should not just focus on bringing people. That it's not about bringing people, entrepreneurs, to come and teach entrepreneurs in school. You can only bring someone who has first-hand experience in a particular area to teach an area. It will go back to someone. I know lecturers who, after their first degree, they go immediately for their master's, and during their master's, they start lecturing, they do their PhD. They have never been in an office setting before. So we need people who exhibit business, who practice entrepreneurship, to come in and teach the students about entrepreneurship and to organization. Like I said, it starts from us. There are administrative departments in the school as well. So the students should also be allowed to partake in those administrative departments before introducing them to employers of them. Thank you very much.
Thank you so much. We are about to end today's webinar. It's been a long day. But before we take the final parting shot, 1 minute from our panelists, I would like to say that our next webinar will come up on the 16th of July, Thursday, 16th of July at 12 o'clock. And we are going to have Professor Olufemi Olokeshusi, Professor Dejo Olowu, Professor Ebenezer Aiyegbusi, Professor Francis Ofo, Mr. Femi Aborishade, Dr. Tunde Useni, and Dr. Ellen Oga. And they will be discussing democracy and good governance in Nigeria, re-examining the dream, the reality, and the unfulfilled. We're going to have, like I said, the next webinar on the 16th of July. And I also want to especially thank Dr. Boyega Babalola for the support he has been given, the support he has offered to us so far for this webinar organized by the Department of Sociology, Afebala University. I always thank our Vice Chancellor, Professor Smanda Larinde, and others who have been supporting us. I know we have attendees on the line. They've been here for a long time. People are joining us on Facebook Live. But then essentially, we want to take parting shots from our panelists on this discussion. 1 minute, Professor Tosin Badeniyi, your parting shots to our attendees on this topic. Your 1 minute parting shot, sir.
Okay, thank you, everybody. I just want to say that I've really learned from all of you here. I want to encourage everybody to think of something they can do. Even if you're working for somebody, you can still be a part-time, entrepreneur. Everybody can do something. Everybody has been given a talent. Everybody has a passion. So you should think of something you can do. You should think of something you can start, and you should believe in yourself. And I know that when we do that, we can go places. And for example, I love reading books. I want to encourage people to read a lot of books, young people to read books. One of the best books I've read is Think Big by Ben Carson. I will encourage young people to read that book, Think Big by Ben Carson. And most importantly, people should also believe God. When you believe God, God can take you places. Thank you, everybody.
Much, thank you,
bye.
Sir. Dr. Aiyegbusi. Dr. Aiyegbusi, 1 minute, 30 seconds. Yes, 30 seconds, sir.
Thank you very much, sir.
I've
always told my students, both in the undergraduate and postgraduate classes, that you think outside the box. You look at your environment, see what is lacking in that environment. Try to examine a gap which you want to fill, and that gap can fetch you a lot of money. So I employ the attendees to think outside the box. Look at your environment, identify the gaps, and try to fill the gaps up with ideas. Thank you very much.
Thank you, sir. Oluwole Ajani, 30 seconds, sir. 30 seconds. Oluwole Ajani, 30 seconds.
Yes. There's a question that has not been really answered. The competence, how do you measure competence? Yeah. If you want me to deal with it now, or I just have to.
Okay, just 1 minute. You have 1 minute,
attention.
please, because we have to end the webinar.
Okay, our competence is a function of 3 items: our attitude, our skills, and our knowledge. Competence comprises of attitude, skills, and knowledge. So in identifying that gap, you need to build metrics, KPIs around it. That is how you measure, competence. My parting shot is, it's a VUCA economy. We have moved from know-how to do-how. I say all the time, please learn a skill. Learn a skill that will project you. Everybody has a voice, but you need a platform. So don't just be that theoretical guy. Learn something practical and, network. The strength of your network is your net worth. Network.
Thank you, sir. Thank you so much, sir. Mr. Adelaiye, you have 30 seconds too. 30 seconds. Mr. Adelaiye, 30 seconds.
Thank you very much, sir. My parting word for today is to say that I will encourage our graduates to learn to take responsibility. To take the responsibility is to find out a serious need and to seriously commit to meeting that need. I would also want to say that who teaches entrepreneurship in our schools is very important. Some of the trainers themselves need exposure to industries. The schools should look into this. Thank you.
Thank you very much, sir. That's a very powerful one. Some of the entrepreneurial teachers also need to go back to school to learn about entrepreneurship. Ms. Temitayo Owoeye, 30 seconds, please.
What I would say is this: to make yourself employable, build on the foundation which the school gives you as a graduate. The school is just a pointer, it's the landmark. Build on it, self-study, acquire skills on your own. Thank God for technology. There are free tuition to literally everything. Free knowledge acquisition applications. Acquire it, invest in yourself, and also look beyond the financial remuneration. Look beyond the financial remuneration.
Thank you so much. I want to thank all our panelists for today's webinar. Professor Adeolu Durotoye from Canada, Professor Tosin, Badeniyi, South Africa, Dr. Oluwole Aiyegbusi, Afebala University, Adekiti, Mr. Wale Ajani, thank you so much. Mrs. Mary Adelaiye from Bauchi, thanks so much. We appreciate you. Ms. Tayo from Lagos, thank you so much for joining us. It's been a wonderful 2 hours well spent, and the topic is hashtag certificate is a scam. But we know definitely that it's not a scam. What is the scam is our students, are they learning right? Are they learning what they should learn? Are they focused on building on what they already have? We have all concluded today that they are not doing the right thing, and the university should ensure that we get the entrepreneurial skills back to them the way they should be. Until we meet on 16th of July, when we meet with Professor Femi Oluwole, Professor Francis Ofo. I want to thank all of you for your time, and I appreciate it. Do have a wonderful day. Thank you so much. See you on the 16th. Thank you so much.
Bye. Thank you.
Bye. Bye.